Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am your host, Stephen Avalos, alongside my dad.
Hello.
And my good friend, Marissa Dorr.
Hi.
And we're just going to go to our usual show. You know, it was really fun what we did last week. Right, Dad?
Yeah, it was a blast.
Yeah, a decent amount of views on it, a little more than usual, so that's always fun. And today we're going to start off talking about Russell Wilson, you know, what's been going on with him.
Well, let me say something real quick. I'm hoping to break the record of last week, because last week was 2 hours and 52 minutes.
Yes.
I'm going to go for 3 hours today.
No.
What do you say?
No, we need time for other things. But anyways, let's just get on with it. So Russell Wilson, seems like there's an idea that he could get traded. Now, it's not something that he has demanded, according to him and his agent. You know, but it does seem that his camp, people associated with Russell Wilson, feel that he should be tired of how things are going right now. You know, they have never really addressed the O-line for him, and the defense has always been, and ever since the last 2 years, since the Legion of Boom has been doesn't exist anymore. Now they're wondering if there's anywhere else he can go to, and that he also hasn't been addressed, according to the team, because a report showed that he stormed out of a meeting after he was trying to give ideas on how to fix their team before one of their games. It was before the Thursday night game against Arizona.
Which they lost.
They won.
Oh, they won.
Yeah, that was the one that it went down to the last bit in the fourth quarter. Really close game. But the defense won it. But there was a lot of issues going on with that, and there are some suitors that, like I said, he doesn't want to go anywhere else. But it does seem like if he does get moved, the places that he would like to go to are the Raiders, Saints, Bears, and Cowboys.
But if he doesn't want to go anywhere, why would he be mentioning other teams?
Because if you're going to do it,
just go all out. Well, if I'm going to have in a perfect world, I would like to go to the blah, blah, blah.
Well, that's not exactly what he's saying. It's just if you're going to move me, this is where I'd like to go. It's not exactly a perfect world thing. It's just where you'd like to go. How in the NBA, how many times you see people where they're tired of where they are and they get to go where they want to.
Yeah.
And I feel like it could be a matter of time before the NFL maybe goes into something similar.
Where would you like him to go?
Where would I like him to go? I think he'd still be better off in Seattle. Of course, with the Raiders, he'd easily be an upgrade there. Much more mobile and all that, but still there's other issues that got to be addressed there. So it's got to be both. You got to do both things with defense and offense.
And if you said Raiders or nobody, where would you switch him for Carr?
Well, it depends on what is the deal's for. Maybe a couple first rounders. Yeah, maybe even 3. It might be still worth it. But it definitely seems like the Raiders are the most realistic option because the Saints, they have a lot of issues with their cap. Bears, they don't really have that much draft capital to give. And the Cowboys, I feel like it seems like they're still going to stick with Prescott. Of course, you can say with the Raiders, they're still going to stick with Carr. So, it just doesn't seem like any of those options are completely logical. But out of them all, I would think that the Raiders make the most sense.
Yeah, Marissa, would you like me to take Jimmy G's spot?
I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I really don't see that happening. I mean, obviously, well, I don't know. I would take him, I think, but I do think he's aging a little bit, and that might, I don't know, he kind of loses a little bit of appeal.
He is 32 as of right now, and so that's pretty much a prime spot for quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Maybe not exactly for him since he's a little bit more mobile. Mobile quarterbacks have a much shorter career span.
You got 4 good years left.
Good ones, yeah, and then then the decline will definitely start rolling in. But that's 4 years. That's plenty of time.
Yeah. And how old is Carr?
He is 30 right now.
Okay, that's 2 years difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
And anything else you guys think about this whole thing with Wilson? A lot of it I think is also just because it's the off season. The new league year has not started yet, so there's not really a whole lot to talk about except for just speculation. So stuff like this will pick up rather quickly due to the time of the year right now.
Yeah, they just want to keep football relevant right now. Get some stories out there.
And well, speaking of football, I have another article come out. First time in a while. Was really glad to get back into it. And
hooray!
Talking about the best free agent acquisitions for the Raiders from last season. So I went with Nick Kwiatkowski, the middle linebacker for the Raiders. It was just really nice to have a normal middle linebacker on the team. One that's just like competent because for the longest time Raiders had no good linebackers, and Kwiatkowski, I really liked the role that he fit. I think he was a pretty decent leader, and especially considering the contract that he came with and like the experience that he had, I definitely think that he was a valuable piece. And he had some nice plays too. He had that one really nice interception on Drew Lock against the Broncos with a one-handed snag, and also a pivotal forced fumble against the Browns the week before. That was a pretty big win as well. And
yeah.
I just think he's a pretty good player, and he's a decent tackler. Almost every defender had issues tackling, but I feel like
worst defense in the league.
Yeah, especially tackling. Like they had like 120 to 140 missed tackles.
Yeah, do you know how many years he signed for?
3.
3 more? Okay, good.
So we got him for 2 more, yeah. And then Devontae Booker. And he was a second-string running back for the Raiders. Only got like around 400 yards. But, considered as a second-string running back, especially behind Josh Jacobs, who was always going to get a lot of carries every game, he did pretty nice in his run. He also got some big runs, too. He got some nice runs against Kansas City, Carolina. His big game was against the Broncos as well, the same week that I mentioned Kwiatkowski's interception, where he got 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was also good against the Chargers the week before that and such. Oh, yeah, and the correction, the Browns game was 2 weeks before the Broncos won, and I said the week before earlier.
No more mistakes.
And
None.
Then then Nelson Aguilar, I believe he was the biggest surprise out of all the free agents because he just came on with a $1 million deal, similar to Booker, but Aguilar was easily the best wide receiver on the Raiders last year. He did a lot of what we kind of expected Ruggs to do, but because him and Edwards got injured over the season, Aguilar really had to step up. And his chemistry with Carr was very similar to what I imagine how Carr was with Crabtree. It brought back some memories because Carr was able to hit him with the deep ball a lot, and Aguilar did average around I think 17 to 18 yards per catch.
Yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah, and he has a lot of explosive plays. And he almost had another touchdown, too, which was taken away.
Literally taken away?
Oh, because it was a bad call. It was, the bad illegal formation. It was a bit of a bad call, in my opinion, against the Bills. But anyways, I hope he comes back. I feel like there's a good chance of that now, even after that article came out with him in the locker room.
Supposedly.
Yeah. But I still would like him to come back even with that because I feel like that just shows that he wants to win so badly.
Yeah.
And I like that. And then last but not least is an honorable mention was Marcus Mariota because even though the contract that they got him on, for a backup, $10 million is way too much, especially considering that they have trouble trading him now because he can earn up to another $12 million in incentives, which can easily be attained, especially having someone go from a backup to a starter. So Raiders did screw themselves in that, but
yeah, but if it's incentive laden, the only way he's going to get that money is if he plays. And
yeah, but if another team trades for him, he's likely going to be a starter, and it's much more likely that those incentives will kick in.
Well, I don't care I don't care if he makes incentives on another team. I want to make an incentive if Carr gets hurt and he ends up starting in his place, and he fulfills those incentives, that means he's doing something right. Okay, so he's earning his incentives. If he needs to, if that happens, that's fine.
Other teams don't want to deal with having to pay extra money,
Oh well, they should have signed him to that contract.
Yeah, and the Raiders are already in a cap situation, so they're gonna have to get rid of people, preparing for free agency.
Yeah, we'll see.
But what I meant to say about him was that he really did a good job honoring the phrase of next man up because once Carr got hurt, Mariota stepped in and it was a really good game. Even though they did lose, he made it entertaining. He brought something new being more mobile and such, and had some pretty nice throws as well. That one touchdown pass to Darren Waller was nice, and then his scramble into the end zone. A really solid play overall. But, they still did lose, which I think is just a matter of showing how much the issue with the team goes outside of quarterback. But, that was my article. I really enjoyed writing it, and I plan on having something else by the weekend. So, yeah.
Right on. Congratulations, kiddo.
Yep. And moving on from football into baseball now. So, the A's made some really nice acquisitions. Trevor Rosenthal and Mitch Moreland. No, really nice. Rosenthal, I didn't even think that he would be, available to the A's. And I thought he was already still on another team like the Padres. But they signed him on an $11 million one-year deal. Now, the contract itself is pretty pathetic, in my opinion. Not the amount of money, but how it's being spread out for 3 years and then a totaling $11 million just to play for one. Yeah. It's just another message on how pathetic the ownership is and how they just can't pay someone that much money.
Yeah, but he's the one who signed it.
Yeah.
If he didn't want that contract, that might give him a little bit more, I don't want to say incentive, because you shouldn't have incentive if you're any kind of major league or professional athlete. You should just play to win regardless.
Well, everyone has incentives no matter how good they are. Like Brady, he made an extra few $1 million because he had a bunch of incentives in his contract. That's just how contracts work. And I'm surprised that not as many people talked about the Rosenthal signing, just because I feel like he was a big deal last year. He was one of the biggest acquisitions, I feel, in the trade deadline. Especially for the Padres, when they were making lots of deals, and now they're making even more deals now. And then Mitch Moreland, also from the Padres, he's a pretty good guy that could fill in the DH spot, which Chris Davis was definitely lacking in for a bit. He was definitely a fan favorite. I'm gonna miss him, but he was
only a fan favorite when he was hot.
Well, no, people still liked him and people still rooted for him, but
I didn't root for him very much when he was batting 180 something.
Well, that's a bit silly, because why would you not root for someone when they're struggling? You want them to do better.
Me.
What do you think, Marissa?
I think the A's are lucky to get Rosenthal, especially with all their ownership issues. He kind of this acquisition kind of flew over my head. I honestly forgot about it.
What?
Yeah, that really shows how much they put it out there. But I think this is really good for the A's. Rosenthal, I think he'll do well. He will probably take over the role Hendricks had. Hendricks was obviously really good. Moreland, I think, will do really good for them as well. Nice veteran presence in the dugout. And, yeah, he'll take over for Chris Davis, because I think last year, I don't think he played too much with the Padres because they have so many big bats. And so hopefully he'll be able to help the A's out.
Yeah, and still 10 home runs, which was really nice. He batted really well in, 1/3 of the year, where he was, in the high 200s. But then, once he went to the Padres, his production did dip a bit. But hopefully, I don't think he's going to hit as many home runs, I guess his average would be, just because, Oakland is a much more pitcher-friendly ballpark.
Well, was he a steady player last year? Did he play every day?
No. Like as I said, with a lot of the acquisitions they were making, a lot of movement had to be made. But Rosenthal, I think he's someone that could really thrive in Oakland, because like I said, it's a very friendly ballpark for pitchers.
I totally have his back 100%, unless he bats under 200, and then I'll kick him to the curb.
And then, Marissa, do you got anything for us with the Giants? What's been going on with them lately?
Before I get into the small acquisitions they made, I just want to talk about Donovan Solano real quickly. They fought his arbitration case, and he lost, and they paid him, I don't know, really the difference between what they wanted to pay him and what he wanted wasn't that big, and I think that was just pretty sad that he was their best hitter last year, and they didn't want to give him whatever he wanted. Anyway.
What was he asking for?
So he requested $3.9 million. They paid him $3.25 million.
Yeah, that's not $500,000 off.
Yeah, but the acquisitions they made, they picked up Aaron Sanchez. He was a free agent. I think last year he played for the Blue Jays. He's a pitcher. He's okay, I guess. His ERA was pretty high last couple years. They also signed Scott Kazmir to a minor league contract. I don't think he's pitched since 2016.
Yeah,
something
he has.
Like
it's
that.
been a while.
And I'll tell you this right now: if he gets into the games, they start him earlier in the year, he comes up from the minor leagues, comeback player of the year. You heard it here first. Thank you.
Okay. I don't think so.
I would bet that he doesn't even get into the majors.
No.
At any
You would
point.
bet?
I see him getting into the majors. I just don't see him doing that well. The Giants, their pitching, they just don't have a solid rotation this year.
He would make it so much better.
Honestly, he'd be better off if he went back to the A's. I feel like, because their staff at preparing pitchers and all that is much better.
Really?
Yeah, but even then, like the A's already fit pretty well. Like I think it would be good for him to be on the A's, but it's not good for the A's as much. But I think he would still be better than what he can do with the Giants.
Okay, now wait a minute. I just said that he could be comeback player of the year, and you said, oh, no, that's silly. And yet you would take him on the A's.
Well, I just mean the A's would be a better fit for him than the Giants because
the Giants need a good pitcher. Who doesn't need a good pitcher?
No, but I'm talking about the staff that helps prepare. It's about the place where they are, the system that they're in. I just feel like the A's have a much better all-around pitching group that can help make him feel more relaxed than the Giants, where it's just like they're not going to be too competitive, and you might think that's more relaxing, but I just
no pressure.
Don't have much faith.
No pressure on the man.
I don't know. Their rotation, I don't know. It's just pretty sad. Johnny Cueto, I think this is his last year. I don't really know what he has left in the tank. Hopefully he can do well. There's nothing really else going on with them. For everybody, the full squads have reported to spring training, and they're supposed to start televising games next week. So that's exciting.
Next week?
Yeah. I think like Tuesday, something like that.
Yeah, we'll have go more in depth with baseball as we get closer to opening. We'll have our predictions, and how we think the league will go.
All right, and I think that should be it for our baseball talk. Now on to the Warriors. So they won their last game against the New York Knicks, and pretty much in interesting fashion.
And they just won last night.
That is correct. They also played against the Indiana Pacers.
Wait a minute. You just edited where I was going to say something, and you...
Did I still say you're right?
Is this how this podcast is going to go?
I still said you're right.
In a way you did. Okay, anyway.
So the way they beat the Pacers was really interesting because they did not shoot well from the three at all.
Curry was 1 for 11?
Yeah, 1 for 11. No one made more than one.
Yeah, and the thing is, with this road trip, it was a 4-game road trip. They lost the first 2 games to Orlando and Charlotte. And
both in crushing fashion, too.
Well, the Charlotte game, before tip-off, you see Curry walking off the court, and you're thinking, oh, is it COVID or something like that? Turned out he had stomach issues and didn't play. And both games they had big leads in the fourth quarter, and they lost them both in silly fashion. One of them with Draymond Green getting 2 technicals, getting thrown out of the game, while the Warriors had the lead. He gets 2 technicals, gets thrown out of the game. They end up tying it up on the free throws, on the technicals, and then they had the last shot of the game, and they made the last second shot to beat the Warriors.
Yeah, but the only thing, I'm not going to try to excuse what Green did because it was really stupid.
Oh,
how much he argued.
It was inexcusable.
But the whole thing with the call that led to it is, I think, still really ridiculous. The whole thing with, you mentioned the thing with Oubre. You want to describe that?
No, because you can't. What? Tell them what you're talking about.
Well, the tip off, not the tip off, but the jump ball they had where the Charlotte didn't even have possession of it, and they let Charlotte call a timeout, which pretty much is saying that they have possession when Green and Hayward were still fighting over the ball.
Yeah, but the call was made. Bad calls made all the time.
No, but I'm just trying to say that led to it. I'm not trying to excuse what Green did, but I'm just trying to say Like, if that doesn't happen, then he's not even arguing in the first place.
But it did happen. And you can't.
But I'm just making a point. I'm not excusing it.
Well, you kind of are, because you're saying, well, if they didn't make the bad call, then I'd be upset too if I was him. Well, come on.
I'm not saying
act professional.
I know that you should act professional, but I'm just saying that it all stemmed from that. You know, like you got to realize like what led to what. Like,
I do realize it,
effect.
But so is he's on the court. He's got to realize he can't be giving up 3 points.
I know that. What do you think, Marissa?
I mean, everybody knows that Green is just a very passionate player. Everybody's seen how he is, but he also has to know the situation. I mean, you know how close the score is. You have to know that if you do anything like that, you're jeopardizing the game. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about the call? Like how a call would lead to that?
I mean,
because like I'm not trying to excuse it, but it's like you got to realize that something did lead to it. It wasn't
well, yeah. I mean, that's cause and effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
okay, what is cause and effect? You're getting scientific on me here.
The thing that like just I hate about it is that it overshadowed how bad the call was. You know, that we talk about that more than the call.
But bad calls happen all the time.
That does, but we that doesn't mean that we should be content with having like so many bad calls.
You can mention it, and oh well, it happens.
Yeah, and that's all I wanted to do.
And that's the way Green. Oh well, they didn't call it. They got the timeout call, not us. Oh well.
And that's all I wanted to do.
Well, consider it done.
And so, how did you feel about Wiseman and Looney return? I think Wiseman looked pretty good. You know, he was showing that it was his first game back in a while at times, but overall he was really solid and made a 3 too.
Yeah, they just came back for which game? The Charlotte game, or the Charlotte their first game?
No, I don't think so. Okay, so their first game back was actually against the Knicks. They looked pretty okay. You know, both playing center. You know, even though Looney. You know, he's never really been like a true center, but they've been putting him in that role.
Yeah.
For the last few years.
And how many games were they out? 2 weeks? No, longer than 2 weeks.
And I think that's right. 2 weeks, around there.
Okay. Yeah, they both look really good. Both look solid like that, and actually, it seemed like they didn't miss any time at all. Now I know there was like Kerr said he was going to limit Wiseman's time to like 15 minutes or so. And he did good. He had, I think, 16 points in 15 minutes. I'm close. Anyway, I'm close on that number. And Looney played his usual good D. Not much offense, but enough.
All right. So on their next slate of games tomorrow, they got the Charlotte Hornets, Los Angeles Lakers, Portland Trailblazers, Phoenix Suns, Clippers, Jazz, and then the Lakers again. That's going from tomorrow to March 15th. So that's going to be a pretty tough schedule right there. And
they got the revenge game against Charlotte. And they'll have both Wiseman and Looney and Curry for that game.
So that is an 8-game span. How many do you think they're going to win out of those 8?
5.
5?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, actually, correction. That's a 7-game span.
They'll win 4.
4? I'll go...
Well, it depends also on the Lakers. If Davis is still going to be out.
No, he's already out for 4+ weeks.
Oh, so then they have a really good chance to beat the Lakers without
say
Davis.
4, because I feel like the Warriors can still beat themselves. Because like a lot of the games that they've lost, a lot of it has been them beating themselves.
Well, they are such a different team though without with the 2 centers.
Yeah, but still,
I'm going to up it to 5. They're going to go 5-2 in 7 games.
4-3. But anyways,
Marissa, how out of 7? How many do you think they're going to win?
3.
Wow.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
3 and 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about Green and Oubre, and both of them have been playing, except for the screw up in Charlotte. Green has been an assist machine. He's not scoring that much, but he's back to his playing the defense like he always has. The assists are there. He's not making as many turnovers. Oubre has been a stud, averaging close to, I think, 18 points a game the last 2 weeks, I do believe. Yeah. And he's fitting in with the team. You got to remember, when these guys come from new teams, they play a different style of ball with the teams they're with. Like now, when you go to the Warriors, it's basically Steph's and Green's team. You go around what they do. And there's so much ball movement. that they're not used to. There's so many teams when they play nowadays, it's stand around, wait for the ball. With the Warriors, you've got to keep moving because you never know when a pass is going to come your way. And I got to give props because you have to give credit where credit is due. And I crapped all over Oubre early about his shot selection, but you know what? He was getting used to things. He did things that were comfortable for him. And one of the things he did was taking 3-point shots. Now he's driving it to the hoop. He's getting the close buckets that he was missing, and he's not taking nearly as many 3-pointers, which is good. And his last 2 weeks also, he's shooting over 40% from the 3-point line. So I give him props. He's playing like he should, and that's why I think the Warriors are going to go 5-2 in these next 7 games.
Very good point there, but like I said, there's just still plenty of other factors.
Why is there a but there?
Like the secondary unit.
Oh,
the way they play in many even quarters. The second and fourth quarter is just like.
But I think weird. Pascal's been playing better too. He had off like 3 weeks where he wasn't playing like he did in the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I feel like Lee has gotten a lot quieter.
He's dealing with an injury too.
Wiggins plays a lot with the second unit, and I feel like he's even more quiet. I think
Wiggins.
I'm just saying he's been more quiet. I'm not saying he doesn't he still doesn't make good plays every now and then.
And he's averaging 20 points a game.
I know, but still, it's just his free throw shooting too.
I'll make sure when he shoots it from now on, he yells. That way, he's not so quiet.
But I think I felt like when they were having some good stretches, his presence was more known. We were saying that he wasn't being talked about enough, but like he still had some talk, even from Warrior fans at least. But now I just feel like it's been much more quiet. I think it's been a lot more quiet because he's more steady. He's not, doing anything out of the ordinary. He's not screwing up games or it's like what happened to Wiggins that game. No, he's pretty steady. Well, yeah.
He might not play with all the flair, even though he's still blocking plenty of shots. He's been a revelation on defense this year, blocking more shots than he has in his whole career. And his defense has been solid, like I said, and so is his offense.
Yeah, at least for the secondary unit, though, I just don't want it to all rest on Pascal, his shooting, because then they're just going to swarm him, and then you got to rely on Lee, who's hurt, Wanamaker, who just doesn't really shoot much, and when he does shoot, it's he's only really good at making point blank shots.
I think the only bad thing, if you want to call it that, about Wiseman and Looney coming back is that Anderson isn't getting the time he needs.
Yeah, I don't understand what's been going on with Anderson. He really hasn't been getting much time. Because even with Wiseman, I feel like he was getting a decent amount of time. But now it's just like almost nothing. And he was putting in some good minutes too.
Yeah. Very, very good minutes too.
Anything else on the Warriors?
Nah, we're good.
All right, so then want to discuss, not really discuss, but just mention about Tiger Woods' crash. He had a single car accident. They had to pull him out, using the jaws of life, which I've heard of it before, but I don't know a lot about those.
You don't want it used in an accident you're in. Put it that way.
Isn't it basically just like if the car is like, morphed, from how bad it's hit, they got to use it to like open it or something like that?
Yeah, they basically will tear the door off.
Okay. But yeah, it's not really serious, fractures, I think, in both his legs.
I think, his legs were pinned.
Yeah.
That's why they had to help him. He couldn't get out.
And they say, he might not be able to play professionally again, I think.
Yeah,
I did hear that.
That's always possible. I mean, he was in the operating room for a long time. His ankles and his legs were screwed up. So I wish him well. He screwed up years ago, but
I think we don't have to bring that part up. Just
I got facts.
Just the whole thing with how unfortunate the crash is.
Yeah, but he's been dealing with so many physical issues. I mean, in a single car crash, I wish I could be a bird in the trees when that happened, because whether it was the pain medication he was on, he was going too fast. I don't know what it is. Nobody knows what it is right now, but it was a horrific accident.
Yeah. And, only Tiger knows, and...
Well, they'll find out.
Yeah, eventually they will. And either way, just hope for the best for him.
Yeah.
And now, last but most definitely not least, Marissa, so last week we went over our favorite sports memories around the table.
Oh, yeah, Marissa's turn.
Yours overall, like your favorite sports memory and your worst sports memory.
So my favorite one, I'm torn between two, because the first one I'm thinking about is Tim Lincecum's first no-hitter. It was in San Diego in 2013. My family and we went down to San Diego to watch the Giants, and I remember we missed the first inning because we were eating at one of the restaurants there. It wasn't like a restaurant, it was like a burger place at Petco Park.
That was my stomach.
Oh. And one of the Baldwin brothers was there.
Really?
Yeah. It wasn't Alec Baldwin.
Hopefully it wasn't Steven.
No.
Why? What's wrong with Steven?
He's probably the worst one.
He has your name. Who do you think you're named
He
after?
makes the rest look bad.
Steven, who do you think you're named after?
No, and I know it's not him.
Okay, so you say.
And then, anyway, so we're very superstitious, so we didn't talk about it the whole night until it happened. And it was really great because that was probably one of the last games that I went to with my aunt, because, just as a family, because my aunt ended up passing away the next year, and that's why I'm torn with the next moment, which is when the Giants win the World Series in 2014, because that was the year she passed away, and, it was just like a rough year, and for them to win it that year, it just was so much more satisfying, and that was my favorite World Series of the three. So I don't know, I'm leaning towards the World Series.
Was she a Giant fan as well, or?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
So did she see him win the championship?
No, she passed away. Well, she saw the first two, but she passed away in March of 2014, and then they won in October.
She got to see 2 championships.
Yeah, and a no-hitter in person, so that was good.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So it's kind of a coin toss, but maybe the World Series. I don't know. And then worst sports moment, probably the Niners losing the Super Bowl. Oh, that was so
They lost
bad.
the Super Bowl? They were undefeated in Super Bowls. When did they lose?
I don't want to talk about it.
Jimmy G.
No.
Throwing to a Emmanuel Sanders, and it's too far.
Anyway, that would probably be it.
Yeah.
Or maybe when the Giants lost to the Cubs in 2016 and Bumgarner was pitching.
Card.
No, it was
not the wild
it was
card,
the divisional series, and Bumgarner was pitching, and I think Arrieta hit a home run off him, and I was just like so. Oh, I was
but
so
they did
sad.
win that game though.
They won the game, but Bumgarner, he's got a great postseason career, and I don't like to see that go to waste.
Well, one of the high points of your life had to have been when the A's played the Giants in the World Series.
Oh, that wasn't in her life though.
No, not
no,
my
you
life.
weren't?
No.
No, how old are you?
Not that old.
Oh, wow. I guess I'm the old one.
N.A.
And
But I thought you were going to talk about the game 1 of that series where Matt Vasgersian, and it's in the basket. Is that Matt Vasgersian? Against Cueto, where, what's his name? The main guy for the Cubs? Their second baseman or shortstop?
Oh, Baez?
Yeah, Baez. Where he hit a home run off of Cueto and it went into the basket. It was like a 0-0 game. It was in the 8th inning.
I honestly don't. I try to forget that series. I remember like staying up to listen to the whatever game they won, and Panic ended up hitting the walk-off. It was like a little single or something. Honestly, that's all I remember. And Bumgarner giving up the home run to Arrieta. I remember the wild card game where Bumgarner shut out the Mets. But, the Mets.
Yeah, but what you call it? In the game 1, it was a big series between, not a big series, a shootout. And I know Cueto was the one pitching. He was like on fire the whole game, and only one run was allowed all game, and it was the home run by Baez against Cueto.
Was that in Chicago? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because they have the Nets, right? Yeah, the only one with Nets. Yeah, it was Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember Matt Vasgersian just had a big call for that one. Really excited.
Yeah.
But anyways, really enjoy hearing your input.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I believe that will conclude our episode for the week. Much shorter than our last one.
I have a little
Oh, okay.
update here, and
it's not over.
it's something that, it's I know it's a sports podcast and everything, but
Well, it's still kind of sports
It is,
related.
yeah.
a former U.S. Gymnast coach killed himself today. His name was John Getter, and he was involved in abusing female athletes on the team, sexually and emotionally and physically. And he took the easy way out by committing suicide. And I just gotta say, he is a chicken shit. He never gave the chance for the women and girls to, because they were gonna tell him, they were gonna talk to him in court, and they were gonna face him face to face and how he ruined their lives. Dr. Naser, Larry Naser, who was the Olympic team physician for the women's Olympic team, he at least stood up to his accusers and took what they had to say. He also destroyed their lives. And for him, I'm just angry that, first of all, if he was arrested, which they said they were going to, how was he ever allowed to go home? People like that should be put in jail and not let out until their trial. Why was he given a path? I'm upset.
That. I could think of a reason, but that would start a whole nother discussion.
Yeah. Anyway, a little bit about him. He died way too easy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
All
that concludes this week's podcast.
Hope you guys enjoyed it. Much shorter than last week's, and I'm
No.
fine with that.
No, we're gonna keep going.
No.
It's just gonna be
Yeah,
silent.
Marathon.
All right. Anyways, I hope you guys have a good night.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Goodbye.
Good night.